Hey friends, welcome to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Let her out to play. I'm Angie, your host, a teenage mom turned multi-six-figure earner, married to the same man for nearly 40 years. I'm a homeschooling mom of 7 and totally unqualified, at least on paper, but wildly called by God. Remember, He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Here, we are going to talk about it all. Healing from the hard stuff, building a business with heart, raising a big family, walking in faith, and finally breaking free from the lies that said we weren't enough. So if you're ready to stop playing small, shake off the doubt and the shame, and step fully into who you were created to be, girl, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Of course, you know it's coming. I'm so excited for my guest that I have today. This is my son, Braydon Ambrosetti, and I just thought it would be fun. Like, I like to do things that are super impromptu. And so we came into the office this morning and I'm like, hey, babe, how would you feel if mom did an interview with you this morning? Because in light of November being National Adoption Month, I thought it would be super cool if I brought my 3 boys on that have been adopted. And Braydon here is our first son that we adopted. And I'll tell you guys, I don't know if you've heard much about our story, but we were not looking at adoption. We were not considering expanding our family with adoption. But when the Lord has a plan, and He does, and it's all worked out, like, you never know what's going to happen. So I'll just give you a little backstory is that we heard from the Lord that He wanted us to expand our family. And what we thought is that meant we're going to have more babies. I had 4 babies 2 years apart, two, and 2. I was on birth control every time I got pregnant. And so when my husband had a vasectomy reversal, we thought, oh, well, we'll just get pregnant right away because I'm not taking birth control anymore. We feel like the Lord is wanting us to expand our family. So we'll just get pregnant, no problem. And it didn't happen. And a couple years passed and it didn't happen. And you know how you do sometimes, you're like, okay, Lord, we really feel like we heard from you on this. And yet, like, what's happening here? We're not getting pregnant. So a friend of mine had called me in October of this particular year and asked us if we would start praying for this distant relative of hers who had a little boy. And the mom was unfortunately having some drug addiction problems and alcohol. And she had these kids. And this little boy specifically needed prayer because he was the youngest at the time. And so in October of that year, we started praying for someone we didn't know. We didn't even know his name. And we started praying. And by December 26th, that same year, my friend called me up. I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my husband and my mom and her husband. And I remember taking the call from my friend, and she said, hey, I know that you guys have been considering expanding your family. And you know that little boy that you've been praying for? And I said, yeah. Now, granted, this is December 26th, okay, the day after Christmas. Well, I hope you don't mind, but I gave them your name that you might consider adopting him. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's on. And again, we were not looking into adoption. We weren't considering adoption. As a matter of fact, a few years prior to that, a friend had asked me, why don't you guys adopt? And this is what I said. And I hate that I said this now, but it's just true and honest. And I want to be vulnerable about what I thought because I just didn't know. I actually said, I don't know how I could love a child I didn't give birth to. And how would I bond with children or a child that I didn't nurse because I had nursed my other 4 children. And that was just such a bonding moment. You don't know what you don't know, right? But when I got that call, I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, this could be what the Lord has in store for us. And within uh, a little over 2 weeks. So it was about 14, 16 days, I think. We actually had this little 22-month-old baby boy in our hands. And this is him right here. Okay. My husband and I flew to where he was. We met with his birth mom, his grandparents, and we met him. And he was a wild little 22-month-old baby. I'll tell you, we went to a Mexican restaurant, and it's providential because you guys that know us know that we love Mexican food. He was eating the hottest Mexican salsa, and he was 22 months old. It was so crazy. He still eats super hot food. So his birth father was Hispanic, and we did not meet him, but we met his mom, we met his grandparents, and his mom just needed some help. She needed some relief. And so here we were, ready to take on this cute little dark-headed kid, and we brought him home. He came into our family, and at the time we had our older 4 kids. I think my youngest of the 4 was probably 7. Would you say was Aaron about 7 years old, I think, when Braydon came?
7 or 6 years apart.
Yeah. So Braydon, do you remember that first meetup? I mean, I don't know. You weren't even 2, but do you have any recollection of that time at all? The first time we met?
I do not.
No. Well, here's the thing, guys. I remember that I was just praying because I was so afraid. Like, what if he didn't take to us? What if he cried? What if he didn't want to come to us? And I specifically remember when my husband and I walked into the place where we met them for the very first time, not at the Mexican restaurant, but where his step grandma at the time, where she worked. And he immediately just went flying over to my husband. He wasn't walking at the time, but in his little army crawl that he was doing, he went flying over to my husband and just grabbed onto him and just held him so, so tight. And I remember crying. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this kid, like he already loves, at least my husband, he loved him at the time. And we brought him back home, and our lives were forever changed, literally forever changed. And I just thought it would be really cool to hop on and ask Braydon some questions, and for you guys to just like hear from him. So Braydon, tell me, what is some of your earliest memories and what have been your thoughts about being adopted? Actually, you didn't even know until you were 18?
18.
18 years old. We didn't tell him that he was adopted until then. He fit in with our family so amazingly. So you tell us. Tell us some thoughts, buddy.
I just thought it was fun to be part of family. Me and Aaron are 6 years apart. We kind of grew up together, and he was my role model our whole life. He still is.
So Aaron is our 4th child. So he's the closest in age to Braydon. And what are some of the things that you guys have done together as far as like, you and Aaron? And I know you spend a lot of time with our oldest son, Ryan. Give us a little feedback on that.
We just hang out. We've gone played basketball. We've done stuff. We've done stuff with my nephew, his son, and our younger brother Elijah. We've done a lot of stuff together. We've all done a lot of stuff together. My older brother Ryan, we've done stuff. I hang out all the time with him and his kids and his wife and stuff like that.
Yeah. So Braydon used to play basketball. And so our older 3 boys were very active in basketball. Ryan actually, was Ryan in college, or maybe he was just getting started in college when we got you? I can't remember exactly, like the timing just, it confuses me from time to time, which is totally fine. I can't remember the dates, but I know that Braydon has spent a lot of time playing basketball with the older boys. And now that the older boys are grown and married and have their own kids, Braydon likes to spend a lot of time with them. Smile, dude. You look like you're sad here, right? Wanted to be sure and ask Braydon a question a little bit about homeschooling. So Braydon has always been homeschooled. For those of you who know, we've been homeschooling for 26 years. We started when our oldest son was in the 6th grade. And so Braydon, Elijah, and Ian, our youngest three, they've never been to school. They've always been homeschooled. And so I just wanted to ask you, Braydon, like knowing other people who've gone to school or whatever, what has been your experience with homeschooling?
Uh, it's been fun. I was glad I was homeschooled because we got to do more things, got to hang out with our older brothers when we were not doing school and doing other things at the house.
Take trips when other people were in school regular, for the regular season, right?
Yeah.
What about being able to, I don't know, sleep in a little bit longer than the regular kid?
It was nice sleeping in.
Or here's one thing that my kids always said, oh, it's snowing. Like we live in the South, so it doesn't snow much here. But if it snows, they were always like, oh, it's a snow day. All the other kids are out. Did I always let you out when it snowed?
No.
No,
Yeah.
because we took other vacations or other, work trips or whatever it was, whenever it worked for our family. Remember the years that we had the condo up in Cincinnati and because dad was working up there. And so we would just pack up and go up there and stay, right? And remember, for like 3 years off and on, we did our homeschooling at the Creation Museum.
Yeah.
Remember that? The boys thought that was so much fun, but there was so much science and Bible and just a lot of history that we could figure out why we were doing that. Was that more fun than like bookwork?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Definitely. And I have just enjoyed that time so much. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that we did school year round. What did you think about that?
It was okay, I guess. Because kids that go to school get breaks, but we got trips when they were in school, so that was good.
Yeah. So I just always felt like doing school year round would behoove everyone all the more because, when you go to school like August through, I don't know, what is it, May or something, and then you take 2 or 3 months off, then you start over. It's like you have to backtrack. And so my philosophy was, hey, if we just do it all year round, we can take vacations when we want. We never really have to backtrack and go over several months of not doing anything. And that was a pretty cool thing. Do you remember this, Brent? I'm going to ask you. Do you remember when I first started in my network marketing company and I started my pink drink and it started giving me a lot of energy? I tell this story a lot, but we used to have reading time. Remember, we used to read all the lamplighter books and just had this great time every day of reading. And Braydon was an avid reader. He really loved listening to stories and reading and listening to a lot of, listening to a lot of audio as well, remember? But remember when I used to fall asleep every day during reading?
Mhm.
Well, not every day, but some days, right?
Most of the time.
Well, just the honest moment, he said most of the time. And so when I started with my natural energy boosting drink, was I napping every day?
No.
Honestly, the kids were like, what are you doing? Stop drinking that because you're not falling asleep every day. Now we can't get up and go run and play. But that's just kind of a funny little moment that we shared because I wanted to bring that up because Braydon absolutely loved reading time, even the times that I didn't fall asleep because he loved to hear a good story. What would you say was your favorite subject in school?
Probably history.
History, which was a lot of reading. Hey, what about when grandpa and grandma stayed with us? My dad is a history buff. And another thing that we did for homeschooling is when my dad would come, we would just ask him, Dad, just sit down and talk to the boys. Tell them the history of your family and all of your brothers that were in the military. And then my dad was also in Vietnam. Did you love the stories that grandpa shared?
Yeah.
The history part of being in Vietnam and just different wars that his brothers were all involved in. He is such a wealth of knowledge, isn't he? And he would just share. Did you love that time?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, and on another note, like if you guys, are looking at home education or you know someone who wants to, don't think that you have to just sit down at the kitchen table with a pile of books and do traditional school because teaching your kids to cook, math, life skills, all the things. I always say reading, you can get pretty much every subject out of reading except for math and science, right? And then if you have someone in your family who has been in wars or your grandparents who are older and they have a lot of experience in of history and they know a lot of things, what an opportunity to sit at the feet of your loved ones and let them educate you by telling the story. Didn't you love that time? I know the other boys did too. So, anyways, I hope that was impactful for you guys as well, because I know that Braydon really enjoyed that time, as did the other boys. So, you get to do a lot of that. And what about the other two boys, the younger two boys, Elijah and Ian? Tell us a little bit about what you guys do in your relationship together with your two younger brothers that were also adopted.
So me and Elijah, we work together a lot and do stuff. We like to go. He rides dirt bikes, so I go with him. We have fun, and then Ian sings a lot, and we do stuff. We go see movies. If Elijah doesn't want to go, we go see movies together and go out to eat. He likes to go out to eat, so we go out and eat.
Yeah, way too much. Ian likes to go out to eat all the time. But one of the cool things that I love about Ian and Braydon's relationship is that, yes, Ian is a singer. And whenever we go places where there's karaoke, Braydon is always the first to do karaoke with him. He loves doing it. And that is a bond that has, strengthened their relationship. And with Elijah, he likes to ride motocross, like Braydon said. And they have done that a lot together. Elijah always needs someone to go with him so he doesn't have to go by himself in case there's any sort of accident. You know what I'm saying? And so Braydon has been such a team player to go and do that as well. Braydon, tell us a little bit about what you thought the first time that you found out that you were actually adopted.
I didn't really think about it. I just thought I was part of the family.
Well, you are part of the family. You've always been part of the family since that day that Dad and I came and got you. And I didn't even think this was going to make me emotional. But I remember the first time I saw Braydon and just feeling that feeling in my mama heart, like I did when my other children were born naturally to me, feeling like I am responsible for this child. He's going to help us expand our family and be a part of this legacy that we're carrying on. And I remember the day on the boat when Braydon was 18, Elijah was 15, and Ian was 12. We took them out on the boat and we told them that we had a surprise. We had something we wanted to talk to them about. And you know what Braydon said? Are we getting a puppy? You remember that? And I was like, no, dude, we're not getting a puppy. But when we told them, pretty much all of their responses were the same. You're our mom and dad. You're all we've ever known. You're all we've ever loved. And it doesn't matter. And I remember Ian saying, nothing's going to change, is it? And of course we said, no, nothing's going to change. We just wanted to make sure we were the ones to tell our sons that we were not their birth parents, but we absolutely are their parents. We have loved them since the very first day that we met them. We brought them into our family. They're part of the inheritance, of course. It's just like the Lord does with us. He adopts us into his family, and we have an inheritance in the kingdom of heaven. And we love these kids. And one time, you maybe have heard me say this before, but a pastor friend of ours asked my husband, how do you love adopted children the same as you do your biological? And without flinching, my husband said, you don't. You love them more. And it's not like you're thinking, like we love them more than our biological kids. We love them all the same, but we know that they needed us as much as we needed them. So in light of November being National Adoption Month, I'm going to try to get my other two boys to hop on, the younger two who were also adopted, and get them to share a little bit of their story on some other upcoming episodes that we're going to be having. And I hope that you tune in. And if you know of anyone that this episode might touch their heart, or they might need to hear it, or they might need the encouragement, please feel free to share this podcast. Always, always give me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and give Braydon a thumbs up as well. Until next time, keep letting her out to play. And thanks so much for tuning in to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. We'll see you later. That's it for today, friends. Thanks for tuning in with me today. I hope today's episode stirred your soul, sparked your faith, and reminded you that your story is far from over. Keep walking in freedom. Keep showing up bold, and never forget, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Be sure to leave a review, subscribe, or share this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it as well. Until next time, keep letting her out to play, because the world needs your fire.